and so forth. That is supporting what you're just saying. Is that true?
Again, I explained, yes, but you are twisting it, okay? And again, Christ, when he comes back, he will put the whole world to the sword.
We're not talking about Christ. We're talking about Muhammad.
It's about spreading the truth of God. That's what matters.
Okay.
Spreading the truth of God, okay, to mankind. Those who resist have to be fought. Now, it could be by the sword, by the word, by the truth. I am fighting right now, Salim, and you, and your station, through the media, okay? It's not through the sword. It doesn't have to be through the sword, Summer. Okay, yeah. That's my point. Okay, they have to be fought. Yeah. That's what qital is. You have to strive against them, okay? For God's sake. But if they give up, then God is oft-forgiving, most merciful. That's what God says. You cannot mistreat them. You have to be kind to them, and they become citizens, and you have to protect them, okay? That's Islam.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because it sort of contradicts what you were saying, but I'm going to turn it over to Kamal, then Shadid, and then thank you for being so patient, Ted.
Well, let's examine every statement he said. You know, the hadith by Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, he said, if a Muslim convert, kill him. Kill him. That's commandment. That's Sharia law. So in Saudi Arabia, in Iran, if a Muslim convert, he must be put to death. You know, and then he said about the genocide, you know, and what's happening, you know, that they are making peace, marrying, you know, Jewish women and Christian women. Here's the thing. Can a Muslim woman marry a Christian man when she's Saudi under the Sharia law? When she's living in Saudi Arabia, can she marry a non-Muslim man? Absolutely not, because honor killing claimed over 6,000 women. 2 of them were down in Houston. A father, his 2 daughters, went on a date on New Year's Eve with his taxi driver from Egypt. What did he do? He took them to the hotel and shot them in the head, and they died. How about the station manager, his wife told him, I don't want to be married to you anymore. I want to go back home. He's from Iran. He took her head off. How about the many things that they can take place in here? How about that little girl, that just recently, Rufqa Berry, she converted from Islam, they want to kill her, It is not permitted in Islam for the Muslim women. As a matter of fact, it's one-sided. So what we're hearing from my brother Osama is just what he's trying to tell other people, but he's not telling the whole story. Genocide, let's put everything to the test. Let's look at the Times Square bomber, What did he say? The judge said to him, he said, didn't you promise that you will uphold the law of the land and you protect this country? He said, I lied. I promised to my God. I didn't promise to your God. So many of these guys, it is permitted. It is permitted, al-taqiyya, to lie about things, so many times when they sit before many people and they tell you different story. This is all they have to sell you. If you buy, you're in trouble. If you don't buy, then you are saved. This is the truth. And statistically, it shows in the McKinsey report and the Pew report that even American people who are converting to Islam, 2 years later, they came back to Christianity. They said, we thought we had an issue, until they saw the issue of the women, the issue of the children, the issue of laws and Sharia laws. So, let's put everything to measuring sticks.
And with that, let's give Brother Shadid an opportunity to respond and provide his input. Go ahead, Shadid. The mic's all yours.
All right, thank you. As far as this idea of killing people when people, marry different, I have an article right here of a sect in northern Iraq known as the Yazidis, and there was one of their women who had converted to Islam, and the members of her family and her sect, they killed her because she married a Muslim man and became Muslim. So that must be something that you guys do in the Middle East, all right? As it's not, you can't put that on Islam. Now, as far as, again, what Kamala keeps saying, look, you keep making this charge about taqiyya. There's no teaching in Islam that says we can lie to promote Islam, okay? This teaching is that if a Muslim is under direct threat, a Muslim's life is directly being threatened, he can say whatever the people want him to say in order to keep them from killing him. And that's as far as it goes. There's nothing that says when that's not the case that you can go ahead and lie. So you're the one, you claim you're an ex-Muslim, but you don't know what you're talking about. And just because you're from the Middle East, you're putting it like as if you know something more than me. What does Allah say about some of the Arabs in the Quran? In Surah 9, verse 97, what does he say? He says, the Arabs are the hardest in disbelief and hypocrisy and most disposed not to know the limits of what Allah has revealed to his messenger. So you must be one of those types. You didn't know. You're ignorant. You like what Allah said. You're amongst those group of Arabs who are the most disposed to hypocrisy, and you don't even know the limits of what Allah. You trying to tell me I don't know? I know about the abrogation, and you cannot show me anywhere where Allah says those verses were abrogated or where Muhammad himself says those verses were abrogated. From Bukhari, from Muslim, from the Quran, you can't show it. You don't know what you're talking about. So trying to use the Arab card is not going to work with me, because Allah says very clearly being Arab means nothing. As he said, most of the Arabs, you're the hardest in hypocrisy and you don't know the limits of Allah. So take that argument and put it somewhere else. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, you're very emotional. Let's turn it over to Ted and see what kind of factual information. Try not to bring your emotions into it, because it's really not going to do you any good. But if you could maybe share with us before.
What's factual? How you guys? Come on.
They talk a good talk. I don't know. There was a technical difficulty going on. I cut off. But I don't know if you guys heard what I said about the quote from Al-Ghazali. Did you guys hear that?
Yes,
Hello?
we heard it. Go ahead and say it again, Ted.
Well, Al-Ghazali, he said, I'll read to you. He said, quote, one must go on jihad, warlike razzias or raids, at least once a year. One may use a catapult against them when they are in a fortress. One may use even if among them are women and children. One may set fire to them and or drown them. If a person of the Ahl al-Kitab, people of the book, Jews and Christians typically, is enslaved, his marriage is automatically revoked. One may cut down their trees. One must destroy their useless books. Jihadists may take as booty whatever they decide. They may steal as much food as they need. And I would like to read to you what one of the greatest historians on Islamic Spain wrote. His name was Evariste Levi Provençal. And he is one of the most authoritative historians on Islamic Spain, Andalusia. And I'll read to you what he said. He said, when the Muslims took over Spain, quote, churches were converted into mosques, although the conquest had been planned and conducted jointly with a faction of Iberian Christian dissidents, Christian traders. And we still have those today, including a bishop. It proceeded as a classical jihad with massive pillages, enslavements, deportations, and killings. Toledo, which had first submitted to the Arabs in 711 or 712, revolted in 713. The town was punished by pillage, and all the notables had their throats cut. In 730, the Surigane in Septimia near Barcelona was ravaged and a bishop burned alive. In the regions under stable Islamic control, Jews and Christians were tolerated as dhimmis, like elsewhere in other Islamic lands, and could not build new churches or synagogues, nor restore the old ones. Segregated in special quarters, they had to wear discriminatory clothing, subjected to heavy taxes. The Christian peasantry formed a servile class attached to the Arab domains. Many abandoned their lands and fled to the towns. Harsh reprisals and mutilations and crucifixions would sanction the Mozrab, the Christian dhimmis, calls for help from the Christian kings. Moreover, if one dhimmi harmed a Muslim, the whole community would lose its status of protection, leaving it open to pillage, enslavement, and arbitrary killings. And I would also like to mention what the Muslims did in Spain, in Toledo. They, like Salim said, they chopped them up to pieces and boiled them alive. Now, Muslims talk a good talk. They talk about love and peace and all that, but their actions speak otherwise. Actions speak louder than words. And when we see Islam, when we see the ideology of Islam, the cult of Islam, we must look at it no different than communism or any other non-Christian ideology. For example, when Muslims conquered Spain, one of the first things they did was they created the Pact of Umar. And the Pact of Umar stated that Christian lands must be occupied by Muslims. the churches must be converted into mosques, and Christians will be forbidden to build any churches in those lands. When the communists conquered Russia in the Russian Revolution in 1815, or 1819, I believe, what was one of the first things that Lenin did? He took over the church property and gave it to the socialist community and made it forbidden for any Muslim, for any Christian, to build a church on those lands. The Muslims drained the Christians and the Jews in Spain with heavy taxes. The communists in Russia tripled the taxes for the Christians in communist Russia. And Najib mentioned the Yazidis. Let me tell you something about the Yazidis. The Yazidi ideology or religion is very, very similar to that of the Muslim ideology. Yazidis pray 5 times a day at the exact times Muslims pray. The dawn, the noon time, the morning, all of those times the Yazidis pray. The Yazidis believe in an angel called Malek Taus. And when we look at Islamic resources, old Islamic writings, we find that the Muslims considered the angel Gabriel as Malek Taus, or Taus al-Malayaka, which means the peacock of all angels.
That's right.
And in the hadith it says when the Mahdi comes, the Mahdi will be the peacock of all angels.
That's right.
Muslims also have pilgrimages to Mecca. Yazidis have pilgrimages to Lalish in Iraq. Yazidis also have the crescent moon, the minarets. So their religions are quite the same. The Islamic religion is also quite similar to that of the Zoroastrian religion, which was the religion of Persia before Islam took over Iran in a very bloody fashion, I have to say. Zoroastrians pray 5 times a day, the same times that Muslims do. Zoroastrians have very similar beliefs. In the Quran, it says that Allah is the Lord of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. The Zoroastrians considered the Sirius to be a holy star as well, to represent their gods as well. So Islam, this is one of the very few points proving this, Islam is a pagan ideology, no different than the Yazidis, no different than the Babylonian religions. It came from pagan origins. So to say that Islam is a peaceful religion, that it is a civilized religion, is rubbish, is bullocks. Christianity is the religion that brought civilization to the world. Islam is not the religion that brought civilization to the world. Islam, the nations that it took over, when it took over Crete, it brought Crete to the Dark Ages. When it took over Spain, Hungary, Portugal, Serbia, the Balkans, how do you think Islam got there? You think it got there through peaceful means? Do you think Spain, being the most powerful nation of its time, wanted to convert to Islam? Why would they want to do that? It was by violent means that the Muslims went into those lands.
Thank you so
much. What was that?
Yeah, go ahead and finish the last 30 seconds.
Well, I just want to say, where was the Vivaldis, the Mozarts, the Tobias Humes of the Muslim world? Where was the great music of the Muslim world? The Muslim world brought no civilization. If that is true, if the Muslims did bring civilization, look at Saudi Arabia. It's a desert. Look at Europe. It's a civilization. Look at America. It's a civilization. And that's what I have to say. So you have to go to your commercial break.
Thank you, Ted. We'll actually take one call, and then we'll go to commercial break, and then we'll come back to Osama. You're live on Jihad Exposed. Who do we have on air with us? Welcome to the program. You're live with us. Who do we have?
Hi, this is Radical Moderate. My question is for the 2 Muslim guests. I'm wondering, should U.S. forces and NATO forces treat female captives and children captives of war the same as in Islam? Quoting from the rules of warfare in the Reliance of the Traveler in Book O, 9:13, when a child or a woman is taken captive, they become slaves by the fact of capture, and the woman's previous marriage is immediately annulled. Should we in the West treat Muslim female captives the same way? That is my question.
Thank you so much for your question. Shadid, go ahead and answer it in 2 minutes, and then we have to go to break.
All right. This book, Reliance of the Traveler, has been said to be a deviant book with deviant information. Dr. Sully said so. Dr. Bilal Phillips, they said this book is very deviant and people should leave it alone. So Radical Moderate, leave it alone.
All right. That was a short answer. We're going to take one more call, and then we'll go to break. Who do we have on air with us? Welcome to the program. You're live on ABN. Welcome to the program. You're live on Jihad Exposed. Who do we have on air with us? All right, we will take a break. When we come back, we'll continue to take your calls, and then we will actually turn it over to Osama to comment on all this. Our topic tonight is Jihad and Genocide. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.